Well, it's a question to do with the intellect and to do with the heart. In what I would call many so-called spiritual communities, or otherwise people who have, let's stay with the spiritual community, they will say, come from the heart, because that is the strongest field. And in attempting to teach some of these teachings that come from the Keshe Foundation and from your knowledge and from the greater collective knowledge about the location of the soul within the brain, these people who have learned a slightly different understanding have very great difficulty with the idea that the intellect and the soul in the brain could be more powerful, or could be perhaps that the soul could be within the structure of the brain. This is very difficult for them. And they say, no, 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 come from the heart, forget what is in the brain. Can you speak to this and perhaps expand some knowledge in this area?
In what form?
Perhaps I want to know in which regard, how are the fields of the heart perceived to be so strong? Is it that it is the manifestation of two other fields, that the fields within the brain and the fields within the body, the soul of the man and the soul of the physicality, create the structure?
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. One is tuning to the other and vice versa. This is what your cell says and said, my heart says don't do, because you receive the message through the soul. It's a translator, interpreter of the message. Understanding of the totality is the part that we say my heart says don't do. And where did the heart get the message from? Partially its own interaction with the fields on the matter state, and partially from the soul. Soul of the man never sleeps. The sun never stops shining. It's the man who is on the facing of the sun side of the earth, or on the back of it. It's then we receive the light of it in different strengths. It's the same with the soul of physicality. Very strange. Maybe in the future, mankind will understand. I'm not a very good drawer. The soul of the man shines in all dimensions and directions. What happened? When the sun shines on the left of your heart or the right of your heart, would the position of the heart in respect to soul creates different fields interactions of different strength, that it creates different emotion within the man. Which part of the heart will receive air from the lungs first, of the highest order, and takes back from the other? The field interaction with the soul and the conversion of the fields of the heart, that's why we feel the emotion. We feel my heart doesn't work, because the sun sits above in the center of the brain. And now you have this rocking chair of heartbeat of the man. in different positions continuously. Then you understand why man has a mixed motion and emotion. The sun, the soul, does not stop shining. It's the position of the heart which receives it. And then how you react. The blood flow is sporadic in the body of the man, in the circulation. It condenses in this area. So it has more possibility of interactions. As it gives, it receives. It's not a one-way traffic that we only receive. What emotion goes there, it feeds the soul, and the soul communicates with other souls. That's how your balance of your doing comes. And we see how things turn out. And we see how we feel the fields due to what we call, you got to understand something very simple. This goes back again to what I call science of physicality. You have the heart of the man. You have a blood circulation, which we call the dark blood, the oxygenated, and we have a blood which is oxygenated. Now we understand the blood of the man is a gans. Brings not only the blood, but with it brings the emotion of what the physicality has done. And every blood, when it comes into the heart of the man, like the way we have the liver, which we store from the blood surplus, the soul of the man has the same liver, memory bank of whatever has been brought from the physical emotion. Then you have the source of life or the environment, and this comes with a different strength. We look at the physical condition in how much blood it goes. In the new knowledge, we look at how much fields it brings in and how much fields come with this one. The interaction of the fields between the two creates a new dimension, what we call the soul of physicality. And this, in turn, interacts in the mixture of fields with the soul of man. The same as it gives, it takes. Exchange of information in the central bank. Or most of it. Because the rest of it, through the same blood flow, will go around the brain, the skull, and comes back. And it's very much what we never understood. Where does the gravity starts and where does magnetic fields finishes. And this is, if you understand this, then you can do a lot in the future technology of understanding knowledge of creation to decide on the condition of the physicality of the man. These two have to work in unison to keep the soul and the physicality in all dimensions as a field, where the physicality is manifestation in interaction with the field of environment. Then, now you tell me, why do I feel that emotion in my heart? It's where the sun shines, interacts with totality of the field. Where here it collects in this circulation around the brain information only about physical interaction with the essence of the physical soul of the man in the heart. Now you understand. Then, if you understood this, Earth, Moon, Jupiter, planet Zeus, another galaxy, is how we allow this field interact with the field of the soul to lead to the, if decided, to creation of the dynamic physicality of the being. It's as simple as that. You convert this into the knowledge where the sun is the soul of the creator of the man. And then you have the soul of the man. It's the same. Then you understand the, what I call the soul of physicality. Then you see how the soul of the man, soul of physicality, connects through the soul of the creator. It's so simple. Next time when you feel in your heart, see if you can feel the emotion of the soul. And then that emotion of the soul, if you can feel it, then you decide, is it with the interaction of the soul of creator? Then you become aware of the knowledge of the universe, the creation.
Hello and welcome everyone to the 429th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, April 21st, 2022. This is a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute Education Department and part of the public teachings in English. My name is Rick Raymond and I'll be a host today. And we're joined with Mr. Mayran Kesh of the Kesh Foundation, as usual in these weekly Knowledge Seekers workshop presentations. Mr. Kesh, are you ready to start today's workshop?
Yes, good morning, good day to you. As usual, wherever and whenever you listen to this series of Knowledge Seekers programs from the Kesh Foundation, KFIS Space Institute, we are welcoming you back. And at the same time, we are here to do a lot of work and a lot of other new things needs to be done. Today, for the first time, through the Kesh Foundation work, we've been here for over live teaching 9 years, 10 years, and Kesh Foundation over 17 years in establishment. Kesh Foundation has never gone out to ask for donation or ask for people to support the Kesh Foundation for a project. People who are close to the Kesh Foundation know that we have endeavored to bring a massive change to the work of the Kesh Foundation internationally. And this work required huge financing in the background by the foundation. We have worked on this over 5 or 6 months. The funds has been raised more or less to the absolute limit. A number of knowledge seekers who are in the background know they've been with us solid trying to, and we have brought all the finances of Kesh Foundation to see this project to be completed. This project will bring some hundreds of new locations for use of the enhancement units, for water cleaning treatment and processing, for space lab launches, space centers, wellness centers, and the rest. To raise these kind of capital by the foundation is impossible. We had to go to bed with so many different people and wait for years and years. We have reached a point that we have raised these funds, and now we are in the last leg. We have to raise, literally we used all the resources we could do, to raise another 150,000 euro to complete the process. And with a discussion with the team of the Kesh Foundation, we have come to you. There's hundreds of thousands of you listening online. If you donate 10 euro or 100 euro or 1,000 euro, or put funds as lending to the Kesh Foundation to be returned to you, we need to raise this money today. Millions of dollars has been raised and paid for this process to be completed by tomorrow. But we are shortfall. If you have access or if you like to support Kesh Foundation, we are short just under $150,000 to complete. And we would not come to you in this way if we didn't need and we didn't have. You make the donations, or you can send $1,000, $2,000, $10,000, $10 as a loan, put it as a donation or loan to the foundation. And then in the process, we return back the loans, or we take foundation donation to go ahead. We need to raise this money today. And we've done everything around the foundation. Those are on the panel in the background. People listening in different channels know a number of Kesh Foundation top management team people have literally flown in different positions, have done a lot of work done to make sure this happens. This was supposed to happen last Monday, completed, but due to the lack of a large sum, which suddenly disappeared by somebody who was committed to us, we had to raise it in a short time. We raised most of it. It's about 150,000 left. And we would like to ask you as knowledge seekers, go on the donation panel. If you can send it directly to the Kesh Foundation account in Holland, help to bring the change. We have told you what is to come. This is all part of the work of the Kesh Foundation. I put it in different ways and different meanings. Keeping the technology out of the hand of the governments, out of the hand of the institutes, out of people who control it, takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of work we've done in past years. Now we are in the same position. The funds we have raised will bring those changes without attachment. We signed agreements to this effect, and we need to keep that correct. We need to keep the foundation as one nation, detached to any organization, any government. We need you to be there today, not tomorrow, to help the foundation to bring that change. Every month we spend tens of thousands. All these things you see, even keeping this internet going a month costs about 30,000 euro for the foundation. We paid year in, year out, month in, month out. We need you to help, to donate, or to lend to the foundation today, that we can bring that change very soon. The waiting, the channel of time will be affected by the others and other conditions. We are there to do a lot of work and there to bring a lot of changes. And the capital we have raised, we have to pay for it to be done. And it is part of that expense. We pay for it to be done, the platform to be set up, to be able to do this. I know many of you have access to no funds, and many of you have access to a lot of funds. But you've been here for 10 years listening, or some years you've been listening. You have seen our work. If you don't like to pay for something which you don't get, buy a cup. You will consider what cup of life worth and donate to it. Pay if it says 50 euro, 100 euro, pay 10 euro. It doesn't make any difference, but we have to bring that change, and we left it to the last minute. One of our senior people in this part is already moved into Vienna. We are waiting for the other things to complete, and it has to be completed today, because we would have never come to you, as I said, if one of our people in the background would not have defaulted in what was put in. And it's so short that we could not wait without coming to you. The shortfall was much, much bigger. We have covered it with the support of the knowledge seekers and the Keshe Foundation funds, whatever it was there. Now we need to raise the 50,000. If you want to pay for one enhancement unit for 150,000, which is for 1 million, we still accept as you get the product. But we need to raise it today. Pay into the Keshe Foundation bank account, as is an NGO, is a foundation account, and support us. Put it in there. I loan, I want it back. We will return it back to you. Many of you have supported us this way before. When we need, we go to selected people who we need in the Keshe Foundation to support us in different ways. And now this is the foundation which needs this money to be able to bring that change. Knowledge has been free, and sharing the knowledge has been free. Now we have to keep the application of the knowledge and technology free as well. And this is for that purpose. You don't see in any of the Keshe Foundation works companies any outside except knowledge seekers as partners or people who run it. We want to keep it that way. And we want to bring the knowledge out. Everything is depending on what we are doing and what we have to do. Huge sum has been raised, and you will see its operation coming through once this is completed. I ask you as knowledge seekers to support today. We tell you how much we collected at the end of the day, and that will decide if we're going through, we can complete the agreement by tonight, or we have to step back. We have already committed all the resources of the Keshe Foundation, millions of dollars to get this done. And the setup is just holding back for such a small amount, which wasn't supposed to be, except by a defect by one of the, what they call people who put the funds in for a purpose, and he changed his mind. We have raised most of it. We're short 150,000 euro. And I'll come to all of you knowledge because if you can afford 10,000, 20,000 as a loan. We are not asking for donation. You haven't bought the setup under the church. If you feel you want to donate, donate. If you feel it to be a loan, make it a loan, and then we can complete today. I don't think the foundation will ever come to us for donation or support in this way publicly. With what we set up, the foundation will become one of the most powerful structures on its own without depending on governments. We become, we set it up, is to become the bankers of our own finances through technology, and not to establish a government, but to establish one nation. We need these funds to be raised today. And we need to be completed today. You can make a donation on a PayPal, but we prefer you to make a direct transfer, because with the PayPal, we have to wait another 2 days to get it transferred to our accounts and then transfer again. So if you make a payment directly to the Holland account, as an NGO, we are a foundation, non-profit organization, and we can accept, you can just put out there, I'll loan you $100, I'll loan you 1,000, I donate you $1. All works. We need to raise this today. There's thousands of you online. And we have shared knowledge, we have shared everything with you, and we need to complete this as part of the structure of the setting up of one nation. And more or less, you are aware of what is to come. We announce more or less in the hidden ways the things to be set up to come, and it's sitting there to come. And we have had a day of 2 weeks with it, and today is our final day. We have to meet it today to complete. I don't preach, and I don't go, we need. We have to bring the change, to set what we call a solid base for generations to come for the Keshe Foundation. Please look what you can do and how you can do it, but do it today. If you can do it even during the teaching. We need 150,000. If it's 1,000 of you, you put $150 down. It's 10,000, 20,000 people live on the lines at the moment. Even if you pay $1, £10, $1.50, you just make it. I've done everything in my power and the financial power of the Keshe Foundation to bring this position about. We stopped a lot of programs of the Keshe Foundation in China, in Arizona, everywhere else, to finance this, because this is more important. This platform for us is a game changer for the foundation. The employment, the factories, the cleaning of the atmosphere, the energy, the space technology, everything has put on hold in the past 5 months to get this completed. And our bankers knew, and we had a huge problem with our banking system, blocking, stopping, investigating how an organization like Keshe Foundation has managed to do such a job. Our bankers foreclosed everything for us to monitor how a known, well-known organization like Keshe Foundation has managed to raise a nation's capital as an independent organization. We need that to be done. We need that to be completed today. I thank you very much for it. And I hope you can help, and you can donate, and you can lend the foundation the money within the next few hours, that we can get this process completed. Those of you who are in the background know exactly what you've done and how you helped us. And those who are at the front end, like in China, know how you have suffered with what we had to do with the stopping of the banks and everything else, blockages of the movement. The investigation with Central European Bank to see how an organization like Keshe Foundation has made such a move. I thank you for your support, and I thank you for allowing to bring about the change. We are not asking to donate us, we're asking to lend us the funds, we return it to you on a completion. Thank you very much. And I hope we get a response back from you. Those of you who have the funds to be able to do it. You just understand there is a need, and there's a time for need, and the need for the foundation to do that, bring the changes is today. I'll come back to this again. We keep an eye on the monitoring of the funds that we receive, and we'll see what you have taken from here has brought you back to us to be. Thank you very much, Rick. Where you have to make the donation is on the screen, or you go to the Keshe Foundation donation button. Keshe Foundation account in Holland as an NGO is there. The PayPal is there. We prefer you to send directly because PayPal takes us time and it creates a lot of delays which we don't have. Thank you very much. Going back to the teaching. Pardon?
I was just wanting to mention that if people do have trouble with, some people do have trouble with the direct bank transfers, and there is a donate button on the upper left corner of that web page. And when you click on that, then it takes you to the ability to use PayPal or with a credit card. So just that option is there, but you have to actually click on that small donate button in order to access all that.
Thank you.
And I see there's people already have sent their donation. Danielle in the chat here mentions donation sent. So you're getting action already, at least, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you very much. We need to raise 150,000 euro today. Pay 10 cents for the teaching of 10 years per session, and then you might have worked on more. Thank you very much, Rick. As I said, we never come back, but this is so vital for change of direction and course in Keshe Foundation. Either way, it's your foundation, it's what you run. We are caretakers. Coming back to the teaching, we've seen what we saw in the video, which has been done by, again, Lisa from Keshe Foundation Australia. Most of the beautiful videos done by her. She spent a lot of time doing it. Bring back the connection between what we call the soul of the man, the physicality of the man. What happens to the body of the man in the dimension of physicality? What do we get? Why and how do we amalgamate the fields, the processes, the understandings of life after death in a physical condition? We bury it, we burn it. We do all sorts of things with it, and a lot of things happens to it. We put it in a coffin. We do the same. We kill animals. We consume the cells of the body, which each one has a soul. We interact with the dimension that the central control is not there, but the part of the physicality, the soul of physicality is there because the amalgamation of the work of it together created the soul of physicality. We send an animal into a slaughterhouse in Australia. It gets cut up to different pieces and is frozen. One part goes to the United States, one part goes to Europe, one part goes to Africa. And the physicality of the one body spreads across this planet. But as we said, in the dimension of the magnets, once you establish a magnetic field, and every magnet has connection with all the other magnets, because when you put a magnet in the center, everything moves. These parts, these sections, are still in a direct way have connection to the soul, which led to their creation and there led to the containment of that soul till the whole thing was in part and alive. We as beings of consuming packages of energy, one of us will get the one part in Australia, another one of us gets the same animal's part in South Africa, and another one of us in New York, and somebody else in Moscow. What happened to us? We have shared the physicality of one, but we have connected to the soul of one too. If this is something you cannot imagine, go back to the grain of rice. Go back to a grain of wheat. We cultivate this grain. We harvest maybe 50, 60, 100 grains from it. And in the process of the industrialization, each one of these grains ends up in one part of the world. It's no difference if it was animal or the seed or the grain. When it comes to one point, what happened to the souls that we consume? Soul of the grain, soul of the cells of the body of the animal we consume, soul of the totality of the human race which consumes it. And then what happens with the physicality of the body of the man when we burn it, when we bury it, or whatever else we do with it? What happened to the worm which feeds on the body of the man? What happens to the energy of the fields when you burn that body in a fire? You change the dimension of the physicality when you burn. What happens to the souls which made that body? Then you come to one point to understand. We have been eating from each other's souls and adding to each other's souls in all dimensions of the physicality, in every dimension. We are all inside and outside each other. We are all connected, we fed and we feed through it and with it in the coming time. We need to understand the need for one point, that do we need to consume? Do we need to kill to consume? It doesn't matter, we call ourselves a vegan, a vegetarian, I'm a meat eater, I only breathe air. We still in a life to take something from it, to extend another life for a small period of time in the process of the creation. Where does man go with this? Where do we bring ourselves to be and to understand? Rick, one of the heads of the Keshe Foundation, is in the panelist. Can you bring it up? I don't know why she's not there. Ruthie is in the panelist. If you can, she somehow has gone down. She should be in the top panelist.
Sorry, Mr. Keshe. Who should be?
Wang Lin, she should always be in the panelist. She set up the Keshe Foundation. So she used to be all the time. I don't see her.
Yeah, I'll bring her in. Thank you.
In the process of understanding, in the process of evolving the science, the knowledge, then it comes to understand what is the problem with us. What is the problem with us that in the coming time, in the process of what we call understanding, we have not understood what we have done, what we do, what is the process, what is sitting in there, and how we can change this. Where do we go? Where have we set? Where do we sit with this problem, with the whole structure of field transfer, energy transfer, with understanding of the totality? With being there to bring that change that we don't need to consume. Because we think we consume and that's it. But don't forget, at the time of death, we become to be consumed. Goes back into part of the teaching. We care where we go, but how we feed our children, what children we create in the dimension of physicality and nature soul. But we have to care what happened to our body after the point of death. It's not just something we bury in the ground. It's not just something that it burns and becomes part of another dimension of energy. When you die, do you want your body to be transmuted and transformed into energy that everybody else can take from it, or to become a rotten things and maybe with the skin left? With a new understanding of dimension of the work of the soul of the man, man can decide in what way his physicality will take to be given to spread, be it part of his knowledge, part of his strength, into strength field of the universe that become useful to enhance, to be the reason for upgrading, elevating another soul. The condition of the teaching of today is not just what your soul does. What we said, you can bring a condition that surpasses the dimension of physicality, and the physicality become within the soul, as now the soul is within the physicality in the brain of the man. Then you decide what energies are not needed that can as energy to dissipate in the dimension of the universe, that it become useful, become applicable to the others to live with and be part. We share knowledge, which is more or less information in the dimension of magnetic field. It has no tangibility. So, but it's given and we use it. The body of the man at the point of death has to become like a knowledge. Not to be consumed, but to be taken for what, who needs at a time. The teaching of Keshe Foundation is not about what happens to your soul and when the soul can take over the body and be free. You become responsible for preservation of the physicality within the soul when you take over. When the body comes to the point of transmutation, you become responsible for it. You are responsible for it. Now you understand where the teaching has come and how it sits. Now you are responsible what is released by that physicality, that it become useful for elevating the soul of another, to love, to give it love. Then you don't need to die. You don't need to leave a physicality behind to rot, to be burned. Then you understand the point of what we call death cannot exist. Man will live forever. Not for meager 50, 60, or 10 years or 100 years on this planet. This is what we are responsible for. This is what we become responsible for. Making sure that the physicality at the point of departure of one dimension leaves enough that citizens, be it the animal, be it the planet, be it another dimension, become useful for it to elevate its soul. Where still the dimension of physicality can be created when the soul allows for the physicality to manifest itself in the dimension of environmental field strength. You care about your children. Now, with the knowledge you have from today, you have to care what physicality fields you leave behind. You cannot go into the park, have fun, and then throw litter and rubbish all over the park and go just because you've been there. This is what you do with your body today. Bye-bye, soul is gone. Litter the body on the planet. This is where the understanding of the process of transmutation and elevation of the fields does not matter in the dimension of the plasma, you call it soul of physicality or soul of man, comes into it. When one is electron and one is proton, and one, as you know, we say in the world of nuclear physics, that one has 2,000 times more whatever compare the weight or mass or size of, and then you can reverse when you change the mass to the size and you get a bigger mass, and then they can collectively field force balance each other. When I understood the process of the creation of the soul of physicality and soul of the man, to me it was fantastic. As a nuclear physicist, one was proton and one was electron. A transmutation, interfusion of one into the other to take over became very simple. We are, as human race, nothing but an atom. A glorified atom of hydrogen with one proton inside and one electron outside, or one electron inside, cocooned inside the proton, or an electron which is ready to be released by what we call principal division, fundamental elements to what we call the electron to be released, and then it becomes an atom. We are that hidden atom, where our electron, which is our soul, is within than being outside. In a way, we are that fundamental element till we create a condition to release that electron, to go through that what we call nuclear decay. Then we leave the physicality behind, and the electron becomes free to fly and create new orbits and itself a new cycle. We cared about our body, how it's dressed, how it's perfumed, how it's looked outside, immaculate haircut, shoes totally clean. But we do not care what happened to it when that electron flies out and the division comes and you're left with a piled up mess. You call it the human remains. We don't care what happened to it because the déjà vu does not exist in that dimension. So bye-bye. I'm made, I use your physicality to elevate myself. Now I go because you had no respect for me when I was inside you as a soul. You care about your children. Now with what knowledge you have to care about your physicality. You cannot litter the universe and the planet with that remain for somebody else to clean up the park. And it's not the process of what we collect in the park, we put it in the dumpster and we just take it to a plant, we burn it or make a fertilizer out of it, as it goes in the coffin and becomes something else, somebody else. We have to understand and to respect the condition of that physicality, not in its dimension of the soul, but as a dimension of itself upon departure or separation, or by understanding that there cannot never be a separation. Does not matter which part of it we send, which part of the world, the universe, is still connected, and you respect it and you keep it to be there. It cannot be food one day and a menu the other. This is not expect and respect for the physicality which you took so long to train it, to elevate it, to bring your soul to perfection. Then it matters for man not to have to come to the position of after death, because death can never happen if you understand the transmutation and elevation of the soul of physicality or the soul of the man. Then you live the life of the Creator. Then you live the life cycle of the universe. Next time, when you look at your body in a physical condition, you look at his beauty as a young man or a woman in a bathtub, or you enjoy his dimension in the ocean, swimming and showing his beauty, or as an old man walking with a stick in the dimension of the streets or in a wheelchair. You have to understand what is going to be the future of this physicality. How can I preserve it to become a lover to serve and not to be served? How can I be there forever to give, not for a while and then become a litter on the dust? When you look at the physicality of the man up to now, you had no respect for. If you're Jewish, when they bury you, they don't even bring your flower. You don't spend money on the dead. If you're a Muslim, you do all the hullabaloo and the celebration of and mourning of. If you're a Christian, you go to the church, and either way, you dump it on the ground. It's gone. There's nothing to do. And we are so good at it that we say we put it out of sight. We bury it because we could never understand what we could do with it. We did not respect it. We did not allow it to learn the process of the interaction with its soul, that it will never get to that position. Most of the reason we bury our bodies is we're ashamed of what has come to become. The president 1 minute eaten by the rats or the fox or the worms in the coffins the next day. We have to bring to understand that the physicality of the man is a collection of the souls. You care about your soul. You care about the soul of physicality. You have to care about every cell that has made and has a soul, the collective soul of the man. Then it comes to one point. If you understand this, would we become one piece in America, one piece in Africa, one piece in Australia, one piece in China. Or we become the radiant lamps of the lights that what we have in a way siphoned through the cycle of life become energy to the others to take what they need from. Man, dimension of physicality should never finish. Man, dimension of physicality should never end. Is man who has not understood it, and it has littered this planet for thousands of years. We have to teach this to the animal kingdom by elevation of the soul and understanding. You don't take animals to school and university and give them degree Professor Cat or Dr. Dog. We elevate the soul of the animal that reaches the understanding level soul in how to look after the physicality, because that soul is as intelligent as our soul. We said before, when you look from distance on this planet, you don't see the soul of a king, a president, a farmer, a dog, or a cat. You see lights, knowledgeable lights, because they have created condition, knowledge of existence in the condition of this planet, in the condition of the universe, in the condition of the galaxy. Next time, when you see a hearse going down the road with a body in it, next time you pass a cemetery, just think, what's going to happen to that body? And do I want mine to be in that position? Steal, rob, and go when the time comes. Or give it to what I need, I gathered what I need from it, I'll escape with it as a soul and live the physicality in the hand of whatever needs to be done. We come to understand the cycle of life has to preserve to be correct in all dimensions and in all physical conditions. It has to be in the process of understanding the totality and not the individuality. It has to be understood that we need to bring the condition that we have, we should, and we care about our physical life. You take it to the park for a run, to look good, to be perfect, to be everything that you wanted to be when you're looked by another admirer. 6 packs, hair done perfect, dress to the polished nails and everything else. What about when you leave that physicality? You're responsible for it. It's part of you. You created it and created you. Now, you cared about your souls. Now you understand the creation of the soul. You're responsible for the physicality after what you call, if you cannot control death. Departure, separation, understanding of the totality. Then, as we said, as man elevates his soul and understands, we will have no prisons, we'll have no courts. And if man understands this, we'll have no cemeteries, no crematoriums, and nothing else, because we have nowhere to bury this. Because it respects and it does what it needs and it gives what it needs. You can direct it to be the knowledge to one, to be the knowledge to another, to be a lover to one, and to be essence of creation to the other. But the same soul, the same physicality. You are responsible for it. You are born to create the soul from it, but when you made it, you have and you must have responsibility for what is made. When you create a juice from using a machine, do you throw the machine away because you got your juice? This is the abuse. Then we look for fountain of youth, everlasting life. If you understood, and in the teachings in the past, I explained many times, you are responsible for it. Now you're responsible to understand with the litter you leave behind. It should not be there. When you go to the park, you're well trained, you're mannered, you collect your rubbish, you take it with you. You don't leave it in there. How come you leave your body on this planet and pull up? You train yourself what to do, how to spend, how to develop it to be useful in the next cycle. And you decide about it. When you pack up your food pack, you decide where the plastic cup goes in which bin and where the paper goes in which bin and which bin will take the leftover of the food. But you don't respect and consider what you're doing with your physical life. Once you said bye-bye in the physical dimension, where it should not be there because we said bye-bye because we never knew we can use the soul to preserve it, to be with us. A soul of the physicality and a soul of a man from the moment of interaction, establishment of the first emotion should be inseparable to the time of the creation, not to 10, 20, 50 years on this planet. You are responsible for it. You have to understand how to do it, how to learn it, how to interchange between one and the other, that both become the preserver of the other. We have an electron and a proton. The existence of the electron is to keep the proton in position, and anything it leaks out as energy is captured by it, that it can feed it back, that both can exist. But we have not learned this about the life of the man. We leave it behind as a litter, where it should not be, where it's been taken so much to build it, to put it in such a beautiful order, that it has to become the process of life, the process of change, the process of elevation of the other souls through its field and interaction of its field. Life has to mean life for eternity. And now it comes to the point of understanding, it comes to the point of the teaching that we have to, we must do, and we have the obligation to understand this. Would you allow, when your soul expands to bring in the dimension of physicality, your physicality to die within it? Would you shoot yourself in the foot and want to run a marathon? This is a marathon of the life of the universe. Then we understand. Then we come to understanding the position of the elevation of the soul of the man is not just for you to be free. You become responsible for preservation of the soul of physicality and the physicality which he has accepted to exist within. Then, whatever man dies of any diseases or any disorder, it's very much. Sometimes we drink the water, sometimes we swim in the water. Sometimes we are within the soul, and sometimes the soul is within us. It's us who has to decide which one is the pleasure, what time, and what purpose. it becomes essential for all of us to understand this process. It becomes essential for all of us to be the part of this process, to understand the totality, to be part of that totality which brings the change to all of us. I have made the man in the image of myself. I have managed to bring that change, to become that process of change, to be in understanding the totality of the change. We have to have respect both for the soul of physicality and the physicality, because the physicality is amalgamation of the souls, which their interaction and collection of the work creates the dimension of the soul of physicality, and the interaction with the dimension of the environment gives it physicality. And then at the same time, the collective soul interaction creates the soul of the man. Where does man go? Where does man sit with this knowledge? Where do we understand what we need to do to get to this point? We need to be able to elevate not the soul of the man, not the soul of physicality of the man, but the physicality of the man in a dimension of the time, position, and place of his manifestation. That in all dimensions, it becomes that beautiful being. Does not matter where on planet Zeus, on the earth, or anywhere else, where we see the beauty of it, where in the dimension of universal community, we don't become, oh, these are from planet Earth. When they finish with the physicality, they dump it literally around the universe and they go somewhere else to see what they can create somewhere else. They have no respect for their physicality. How do you expect to have respect for their own soul? Now you understand. You are part of the universal community, and maybe in your village, you could spit, you throw the litter on the corner on the dusty street, and that was it. The wind will take it, and dust will cover the mess. Now you have moved to a city, to a place where you cannot spit on the street, and you cannot throw your litter on the street and walk away. You are responsible for what you do with the dimension of physicality of it. We need to understand this. We have no choice. We've been brought to the level of understanding of the totality in all dimensions and not only in one. Both the soul of physicality and the physicality of the man. You are responsible for three entities, not just for one. Feed it, enjoy it, and dump it literally when I'm gone. It's the totality of the knowledge, understanding, and it's the totality of what we call comprehension of the total need for understanding of the totality. We have to bring that change about. We have to bring that change for ourselves. We are not doing it for somebody else. It's our body. We created it. What do you do when you see your arm cut off, is on the floor? You walk away. Oh, I used it. You don't need it. It's dead. I'll make another one. Or do you pick it up? You try to stick it together. You try to get it to work. You try to get it to function in all dimensions. It's us who has to understand the work of the physicality, the work of the soul of physicality, and the work of the soul of. When you go to a new dimension and you want to put the soul of physicality out, would you create a physical body which is in acid and it burns and is pain and is suffering? Or would you change the strength of the soul, that it changes the strength of the soul of physicality, that you create the body in that atmosphere, in that condition, that is perfection and beauty? But you don't take from the environment what you need and dump the rest. You share. You share from the soul of physicality with the environment that allows you to create that beautiful physicality, to enjoy the environment. You are responsible for it. You are more than responsible for it. You have an obligation to it. You have to understand where we are and how we live this physical life. We become that process. We become that understanding. We become that respect in all three dimensions. And then we understand how much, to what level, to which way we are sitting and being able to create that dimension in all three. Now, we had hit hard, and you have to understand it. And you have to be able to be part of it. We need to be able to bring that change to ourselves. We need to bring that to ourselves to be able to transfer the knowledge from all dimensions. Does not matter if you're in South Africa, in Moscow, in London, New York, or anywhere else, where the pieces of the animal or you, which is spread across the planet, carries the information to the dimension of the soul to serve, not in the dimension of physicality, but as energy fields of elevation of other souls. It is what you have become aware of. And as I always say, you are responsible for it from today, because you know from today it's not going to end up in that coffin. I'm never going to be there. I'm never going to go on that pile of wood to be burned, to become dust and ashes, because I decide I have respect for what I've created and what has created me. And it'll never be in that pile of wood, and it'll never be in that box and in the coffin. Because I look after it. Do you dump your mother or your father once you're created and you manage to become successful and dump them? I've got nothing to do with them, even they being my creator. How come you do that with your body? Now you are responsible for all levels of it. Now that you know, you cannot litter the universe with the physicality of the man once the man goes. It's in the writing of Allah clearly. You cannot transfer a body for them 1 hour from point of death to the burial. Because he never understood that body should never exist to be 1 hour. And at the same time, if you die in planet Zeus, should not Earth become the cemetery of all the human race across the universe that they bring the body home to bury? Today is 21st of April. It's what we call the first Kreswat, the beginning of the Baha'i New Year. But have they understood at all what they are talking about? Or this is another, what I call, amalgamation of nothingness. Nothing has changed with what they call the new messenger, because the same problems carried on. It became ideology, not a religion. You have to understand, you cannot become ideology. You have to understand the process of creation. That you don't become a litter, that wherever man dies in physical dimension in the universe, send them back home. Burial ground is Earth. We won't have enough space on this planet to bury our dead. Because now they come from all over the universe. It's not just if you die in Tehran and you're American, we send the body back to New York. How much body do you want to bring from across the universe back to Earth to make it a burial ground? Worst burial ground that man ever known. There should not be a burial ground. Earth should be the beauty as it is, where everyone comes to enjoy, not to dump the litter of the physicality of the man across the universe. The teaching of today is for you for the first time to consider what next with my physical dimension, where if you understood it, there is no never next, because it's always there and it's part of. There shall be no death. There cannot be death if you know how to transmute. I stayed on this planet for thousands of years. Never died. Just transmuted. From an old man to a young child to a newborn, another cycle, and then another cycle. The soul is the same. Change of the physicality. From the Moses to Jesus to Muhammad to rest, to the first man to another man, a nomad, a man in the mountain of Himalaya, all is the same soul. And that's why when the Father says, wait till tomorrow night, I tell you another story, because he said the story tonight, he knows what's inside. Next night, he uses the same inclination and the knowledge of the last night to tell you this new story, what's going to be in the next night. What Muhammad promised, what Moses promised, what Jesus promised is the same soul. He never dumped the physicality. The same as you never found the body of Christ, because there was no physicality. Last week was the Christian Catholic Easter. And this Sunday is Orthodox. What happened to the soul of the Christ in these 2 Sundays? 7 days in the land of nomad? Or is it again creation of man for his own ego on different means? Ask where your soul has been, what process it has gone through. Which soul is it made of? How come it elevates? Today you had a chicken in the morning for breakfast, a chicken nugget. Lunchtime you had a lamb roast for lunch, and dinner you had a steak with rice, and had bread with your lunch, and you had whatever potatoes in the morning in different shapes. How many different souls have you consumed during the day in the dimension of physicality? Then you understand. Man does not need to consume. Man needs to be a giver and not take. The logo of the Keshe Foundation is very clear. We are here to serve and not to be served. It's not the waitress job. It's the service to the elevation of the souls. We are not religious. We are not God knows whatever. We are a scientific organization. We try to understand the science of creation, the science of knowing. As a guy told me, you talk very good, but you can't show anything in physicality. Show me you can do it in enhancement. It means you haven't even understood the process of the creation, let alone you need a machine to be seen, to be shown. Put energy system in the market, then the Keshe Foundation will be believed. Magic of Christ was his elevation and transmutation. There is no magic because you're so well educated that no one can create your magic. You have to understand what is the real process that it looks like magic. The reason of creating all these processes, even when we ask for a donation and setting up the thing, is through the process of cleaning up the process, elevating the soul of the water, creation of the other things, we can bring that process. It's not just the man who gets enhancement machine, it's the animal and the tree gets the same elevation through the process that the man creates for the elevation of their soul, that they reach the same elevation as the man. The process of setting up the CO2 absorption, the process of setting the enhancement units for farming, is not for you to have the better harvest, because you always look at your own pocket. Is that to start the process of creation of elevating what we are responsible for on this planet in the dimension of their physicality, that, as I said, when the Messiah comes, is heaven for every creature and creation. Messiah has come and is for the elevation of every existence. But we hide it in the containment of the water, we hide it in the elevation or absorption of CO2, we put the water in the rivers and sees that the fish gets elevated in dimension. So now you can understand. I've done a very good job. The elevation of the soul of the planet will bring that change. It's no use when the man knows what to do with physicality, but the lion still kills, and the plant opens its mouth to capture a fly. The process of the teaching of Keshe Foundation is to bring the fundamental change in all dimensions. Then you understand how, as I said, I've taken you for a walk, not only changing your life, but producing gases, but developing the new enhancement center for capture of CO2, and then using it as a fertilizer to enhance the level of the plant, not for your harvest, but in a way that you don't need to eat me. I'm here. You can radiate my fields to yourself and absorb it without ever consuming. I become that orange. And you are the water, the salt water, and the gases which you have contained in the skin of the man. Now you understand how simple somebody who knows the knowledge of creation can walk you through to do what is needed to be done for the whole creatures of this planet, and not just for the man. This process has been going on for billions. It won't change overnight. We build the places to absorb the CO2. We come with the technologies to change the fields into masses of small stars, we call it the ganses, to change the totality. The biggest question for mankind will be, what would in the future this planet will look like? When the plants are there through their souls, the trees are there to understand, if I'm here, that tree there needs more space. So I shorten myself a little bit, let him grow, I can always exist. How I can cut myself that it shows its beauty and not my existence. Don't the trees do that? Don't the shrubs do that nowadays? But now we bring that essence that they no need to take from, but they become the giver by taking what is given to them in the dimension of their need. Then you understand what it means. I made man in the image of myself. Not in the image of the soul and the physicality, but in the image of correct understanding and sharing and giving and taking what it needs from the environment of our existence without messing up and littering about with mine or the others which I consume. Life should not be starting on a table of luxury and what I call a flash of a toilet. That table of luxury of food should not exist, nor the system that you have to flush. In so many ways, what man has not understood is the initial process of life. When you see the mother drinks the water, converts it to milk, feeds the child with the love of the mother in that milk, and that milk becomes food for nourishment of the physicality of that child to grow. The process of the creation of Mitra and the daughter is the process that how the life of the man has to be. How the process of the creation for man across the universe has to be. As we always said, the creator is the creator of all, and man, converter of sin. And that conversion comes by the level of understanding and knowing. In the coming time, mankind will come to understand life means life from now to eternity. From now to the point of understanding the whole understanding. We need to understand this process. We have to understand this process. We have to become aware of the totality, not part of it. Up to now, till the beginning of teaching of the Keshe Foundation, you were locked with the soul of the physicality. You call it the whatever and whatever. Now you became aware of the soul of the man and the soul of physicality. Now you're responsible for what makes the soul of physicality and the soul of the man to exist. You cannot use it and then dump it. The only cemetery left for the body of the man should be in the memory of those who became in touch with that man. And nothing more and nothing less. There should be no cemeteries. There should be no crematorium. There should be nowhere that we have people we imprison their physicality, and there should be nowhere where we judge it. As it has to be judged by itself, it has to find its own place, and it has to be there for eternity. Now, you thought you traveled to the dimension of the soul of the man in an enhancement unit. Somebody will be outside knocking on the door. Excuse me, sir, what are you going to do with the physical part you left in the enhancement? What are we going to do with the next guy who wants to get in? There's not a dumping ground. We haven't opened a new cemetery inside the enhancement unit for you to elevate your soul and leave the physicality behind. Or just take it and dump it somewhere else as it suits you. I brought the knowledge of existence right to your understanding, right to your emotion of understanding. You're responsible for that finger, you're responsible for that ear and that eye. Sorry about the interruption. I've just been informed that in past half an hour, we have received over 15,000 euro as donation towards the 150,000 to the bank and the paper operation of the Keshe Foundation. We need more to be able to achieve. In understanding the totality, now we become responsible for not only our soul, not only the soul of physicality, but for the physicality itself, which led to the creation of it. Did Christ leave a litter behind? So what should? Going through the transmutation was complete. Formation of the soul, no litter left behind. We have to understand the whole process, the full process of the creation, and not just the part that it suits us and is to our benefit and is in our advantage to be. What do we do in the next level? What do we achieve in the next level of understanding? What are we responsible for? As in all your prayers, you say, the kingdom will come. But the king is you. And kingdom is the serving of the soul of physicality, and physicality of the man. You have no other kingdom. You have no other responsibility except for what has created you and what has brought you to this level of understanding. There shall be no kingship except kingdom of the man in all three dimensions. As your soul of physicality as a king, as the soul of the man is the same king, and the physicality of the man has to be the same king. That is one which was totality. And there is no difference in that dimension with the life of the physical man and the creator in that dimension. Don't forget, there must be a soul, and there must be a soul of physicality. That is, physicality has become the dimension of the universe we see and we are part of it. So, in a way, the soul of the creator, the soul of the physicality of the creator to be the universe, and the manifestation of his physicality to be the man. They all live the same thing. I made man in the image of myself, as I am the same in all images. Doesn't matter the soul of physicality, or the physicality of the manifestation. We need to understand more where we come from and where we are destined for. And how do we create that condition of what we call manifestation, to be manifested in the dimension of the soul, to be manifested in the dimension of the physicality, or be manifested in the dimension of the soul of physicality. Which level, which strength we want to operate, but at all time we have to be fair and correct with all three dimensions. Now the process of what I call totality, understanding of the totality, starts from today. Your responsibility is not anymore your child, your husband, or your wife. Your responsibility is the embodiment of your creation. What is going to happen to it when I'm gone? Or am I leaving it behind as I'm responsible for it? And if we become responsible for it, I'm responsible for its elevation, and I'm responsible for elevation of the others who get elevated by me. How do you want to be remembered? In the books of the man who wither and get destroyed, in the dimension of the soul of physicality of the man, or in the dimension of the soul of the man, whereby the soul, you'll be remembered by all created in the universe. But in the soul of physicality, you're just observer and participator in the soul of the man and the physicality. But just in the dimension of physicality, a king and a crown 1 minute, and in a dumpster the second, as you're dumped in the deepest 6 foot, what I call grave, and it cannot be seen to remember, I did not even respect it. It's away and it's gone. As I said once to one of the world leaders, how many kings and how many queens and how many souls in the dimension of physicality have lived and buried and we don't even know where the burial ground is. Does man need a burial ground? Does not matter on earth, in space, or in dimension of his own existence. I hope I open your eyes to a new dimension. I hope I open your eyes to understand that I don't need to give you an enhancement unit to show the proof of the technology. I don't need to make something to show at least the thing works. The thing has to work within you, within the structure of your soul and physicality and your life. And the rest is there to elevate those who have not managed to understand that part. Thank you for today. I hope we open a new chapter in understanding, and I hope it becomes easier for you to understand your own existence. We'll go through a break, and then we come back to answer any questions. Meanwhile, please support the foundation that we can reach that 150,000, that we can bring that change for the dimension of physicality of those who cannot bring that change for themselves. In time, we will be adding to the knowledge of the man. But man needs to have to his own knowledge by itself to the dimension of the soul. But hands down to the soul of physicality and the physicality of the man, and connects with the other souls of the universe, then it becomes a part of the universal community. We will not have international gathering of people from all nations. So in the universal community, we have connection of all the souls together that they make that universal community. We celebrate all the time and not in a specific times. Thank you very much, Rick. We take us through a break and then we come back.
Okay, very good, Mr. Keshe. We'll have some videos here. I'll start with the Universal Body Enhancement Spaceship Unit. And